And greetings and welcome to the QCast. This is season 5, episode 52. And we keep advancing into cooler and cooler stuff. And here we are at Sweet 16 and Elite 8 weekend. And it's time to feature one of the big ball games that's taking place Friday. And this one will be in La Crosse, Wisconsin. And that is the huge Illinois Wesleyan at Wisconsin La Crosse matchup. And I'm really excited to bring back a gentleman that I had on the QCast. Gosh, I think July of 23. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But JT Gritzmacher, um, things have moved fast since we spoke on July 6th, 2023. Don't you think,
Yeah, I
JT?
mean,
I
I
mean, it's
think the
gone
last
fast.
time I was on, I didn't have my laptop yet. I think I was doing it from an iPad. I was in my old apartment, so yeah, everything's been different since then.
I wanted to start there though, because it is amazing that we were talking just July of 2023. You just got the job. You just got the job. And we were talking about building the program and recruiting and culture. And I mean, here you are, March of 2025 in the Sweet 16. You had a monster year, 24-5 overall, 12-2 in one of the best leagues in the country. Are you a little surprised that things have come together this quickly for you guys, or was this just kind of the plan and what you expected?
No, I mean, I think, you'd be lying if you said you expected to be somewhere where we've never been in school history, right? In your second year. So I wouldn't say surprised, but I would say that I think the biggest thing from when I took the job till today is I really got a feel for the guys that we kind of re-recruited back and then the guys we added on. And their character and the type of kids they are were like beyond what I could have expected. And I think that's kind of what put us in the spot we're in. And they just work and they kind of the first year we had to install a lot of stuff just
Sure.
culture wise. We kind of changed I wouldn't say we changed the way we did things, but I'm different than, Coach Dernbach or the previous coaches, so they had to learn some new things. And then going into this year, I think everybody was just kind of really settled in. They were confident in what we were doing, and it's kind of shown with the way we played.
When we talked, I went back and listened to parts of that QCast back from July of 2023. And the part that I wanted to ask you about was when we talked about culture. I asked you, like, what kind of culture are you trying to build? Because I think maybe that can be a fluffy question, but it's a very real question. When I look at the best programs in Division 3, they have very unique cultures and they have great cultures. And you said a culture around accountability, togetherness, family, growth, communication. And I remember you saying in there, you said, I don't like selfish guys. I don't like selfish guys. So, where are you in terms of building that culture that you're trying to build? Are you there? Are you halfway there? Or like, how's that process going?
Yeah, I mean, I think, every day, and I think any good program will tell you this, every day you're kind of fighting for it, right? You want to make sure that you're staying on the same line with your culture, but it's easier when all your guys are on the same path. And I think we're at a really good spot because this year's team especially is we got a mixture of personalities. We got a mixture of guys who were already here, guys who played for me in the past and came here, guys who, came here last year. So like you bring this mixture in and sometimes you've been out of school like some of our players have, you have guys who've been here for 3 years, a new coach comes in, he brings in some different guys. It can cause conflict among the team, but I think everybody learned from day one just kind of the way that I do things and the guys we brought in that they all fit within what we have. And I think when you have that, you're in a good spot. And then our guys, I'll say the part that's way farther ahead than I thought is our guys and our team really like fight for our culture and the things we do every day. So like they lead this team. Like we're at the point in practice now where we're putting stuff in, but you come to one of our practices, it's player led. They're running the stuff. I'm kind of just directing from the side. And I think any really good team, that's what you got to have.
In terms of this NCAA run that you're on, and where you're obviously you're 2-0, you won both games last weekend. Here you are in the Sweet 16, getting matched up with Greenville in the first round. Way, way, way back when Illinois Wesleyan played Grinnell, and I remember Coach Bridges telling me, I think it was like not a, it was close to a direct quote. He's like, the thing I don't like about this is I've just spent all this time preparing for what someone else does, and we haven't had our normal practices. Like I'm spending all week doing a press breaker and how to inbound it and blah blah blah. Like I don't think getting a system team is a great first round matchup. I really don't. Like, did you feel that way, and how did that go for you in terms of preparing?
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I'll so yeah, practice wise, two reasons it's tough, right? If because it's your first game, so you know you got to play them, you got to get ready for your first game, and let's say you get by them, we knew going in we're gonna have a complete different style the second game,
Right.
so you got to try to find a way to blend it. But I mean, we spent Monday, I mean on Monday of that week when we found out, we couldn't get the ball inbounds, right? And then by Wednesday, we finally figured it out because we were playing a lot of 7-on-5 stuff and different things to try to prepare for it. But
Sure.
I think the biggest thing is as a coach in those games, like in the Greenville game, is basically everything you do from Monday through Thursday is getting ready for it, and you have no control on Friday. We're not calling any sets, but if
Right.
we get it across half court, they're running and trapping, so we're going to probably get a layup or hopefully don't turn the ball over. Defensively, it's just sit down and guard. And I think the I think the before that game, I was talking to one of our players, Dustin DeRusso, and I was just kind of telling him like, man, like this is the most anxious I've been before a game, not because of like, oh, I'm worried, but because once the ball goes up, like we're just sitting there. We don't really have much to do. And he was like, he's like, if it makes me feel any better, coach, we're not that anxious. We're not that worried. I was like, yeah, all right, that does. And they did a good job. So we were
Well,
ready to go.
yeah, I saw that match because I was looking at brackets for the week leading up to the selections, and I really thought we were going to get Grinnell, and
Yep.
by the seeding we probably should have, and I think they did it the right way because Bethany Lutheran had already played Platteville, but I didn't really want that. I wasn't super excited to have to deal with that thing. I was like, I'd rather play like a normal basketball game, and because you
Yeah.
don't know what's going to happen in that crazy environment. And I remember one year I saw Augustana have a whole bunch of trouble, like a powerhouse Augustana team with
Yep.
Greenville. And that's probably been 8, 9 years, but you never know. And then the next night you get more traditional basketball and you get St. Norbert, who had knocked off Carthage. I thought that was a really impressive win for St. Norbert. You win 77-67. Talk about game two then on Saturday and that win over St. Norbert.
Yeah, I think, being in Wisconsin, we know about St. Norbert. At least I have almost my whole life. So the kind of they're to me they're a powerhouse in Division 3 and
Yeah.
especially at their level, right? And then Coach Greshik, he's one of the best coaches. I mean, he's a Hall of Fame coach. So we knew coming in like they were going to be very well coached. They were going to be detailed with what they do. Um, we thought we found a couple of things that we could kind of take advantage of with maybe some of the personnel we had, and it was just and then go back to Dustin Drew. So I mean, he started the game. I think he went 5 for 5 from 3 in the first 8, 9 minutes of the game, and when you have really good players do that, it helps. But like they're physical, they're big. I mean, they were the thing about this point or the thing at this time is you're playing. Everybody's really really good. And then you're playing teams that usually are really hot, right? Like St. Norbert, I think, was coming in on 14-game win streak.
Yeah.
I think when we played Greenville, they were coming like 16 plus. Now you go to Illinois Wesleyan, who's been hot. They're on a win streak. So like you're playing everybody who's good, and then you're also playing them at their best. So you got to really, details are important. I thought we did a good job. And then for us as a team, I scheduled this year purposely. Like I thought we had a pretty tough non-conference schedule, but we also scheduled a lot of Friday, Saturday tournaments or Saturday,
Yeah.
Sundays so that we got used to that. Like our guys understood that. I think we had four of them or three of them. And we used the exact same model that we used when we went to, the Great Lake, the GLI or when we went to some other tournaments. Um, and it was just it was natural for the guys. They woke up, they knew what scout was, they knew how we were doing things, and there was really no excuses. So I thought we came out and I thought it kind of showed the next day with how we played.
Thought the GLI, it was great to be there in person and see you guys play. I thought the GLI was an eye-opening tournament for you guys. Obviously, it's such a great field, and the matchups are awesome. Thought coming out of there, like you were one of the teams that was really a wow. I remember leaving there thinking, like, holy crap, is Emory good and lacrosse? You guys just jumped off the page, and I don't know that coming in the year I was totally expecting you guys to look that good in November,
Yeah.
but that was a big weekend for you guys, right? JT, I mean, talk a little bit about that GLI experience.
Yeah, I mean, first off, I thought we played, Marietta and Johns Hopkins didn't finish the year they wanted to, but I mean, I think they're two really
Good
good
team.
teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good teams. And I thought the one thing we talked about as a team is like we know who we are and we knew where we were at and we knew it was a stage for us to show kind of everybody who we thought we were, right? Because you're playing the best teams, there's a lot of media coverage, and everybody's kind of watching it. There's nothing else. Friday afternoon, get to watch some basketball. Most people
Right.
are watching, so we wanted to go out and we wanted to show people what we've been doing and how we've been working and our guys. And for our guys, it was a big confidence boost for them too, I think, because you go in there, you put your best work in front of a lot of people. I think it got them confident, and then we turned right around and we had to go to St. John's and kind of continued what we were doing. And I think from there, that tournament into St. John's kind of put us on a trajectory where we were feeling really good, and it just kind of changed some things. And I think that's kind of when I knew like we got a chance to be a pretty good team. I liked our team, and it's been continuing, I guess now.
Yeah, that road game you played at St. John's that was shortly after that was another huge one that followed. Um, we'll talk about your guys in just a second, but let's talk about this matchup. This is a great one. I mean, this is an awesome the CCIW versus the WIAC. That's always great.
Yep,
And
yep.
I can't remember my last ballot that I had to turn in. I think I might have had you guys 4 and us 6. And I know that the poll has us 9 currently, but I know that we're way better than 9. Like we're closer to 2 than 9. And
Yep.
you guys again are you guys for this monster season. You're somewhere in the top 5 mix. We're somewhere in that mix. It seems like it's an even Steven game, different teams, different styles, but really, really talented team. Like 2 teams good enough to win this thing, the whole thing.
Yeah,
Talk a
no,
little
yeah.
bit. Talk a little bit, if you would, JT, about just that whole thing in the matchup.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I think, I mean, obviously I've watched a lot of Illinois Wesleyan now, and it's hard for me to think that there's 8 teams that are better than them. So I agree with you on that. And then just the for us, there's a couple of things, right? The style I think it's good because it's physical style. It's what we see a lot
Yep.
in WIAC, especially with some teams that we play. So we get that part. But the thing that I think is impressive with Illinois Wesleyan is they got different guys who it reminds me of us, right? We have different guys who every night you can try to take one guy away, someone else has a big night. You try to take him away, someone else has a big night. And really good teams, they can do that. And then they've got some really good wins. Like they go you WashU, you're beating a team that's coming here this weekend. It's a really big win. They beat Platteville, who we couldn't beat 3 times. We had opportunities, we couldn't beat them. So like they play and then the veteran, I guess you could say leadership, but I always can tell, or one thing I like to look at with the team is, all right, how do they respond in close games or in overtime games or off losses? And for Illinois Wesleyan, they played 3 overtime games. They've won all of them. They've responded for the most part, except I think one game where they have never lost twice, 2 games in a row. So like you know they're really well coached. They're gonna do what they're supposed to do. So you got to be on your A game. And I think for us on our side, like I would like to say we're the same thing. I'd like to say I think we got a pretty good team. I think we got guys who believe in each other, and I think that we're a hard matchup because we got different guys. We have a first team all league big who some games gets 12 shots a game, some games gets 7. But if you try to take him away, then we got a point guard who's first team who can go score, and we got a wing. Like it's gonna be. I'm very honest. I think it's gonna be a very even match game.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna come down to 1, 2 possessions throughout the game, and that's what you expect at this time of the year.
Yeah, it is. It's 2 great teams. I truly believe it's a game that could be played easily in Fort Wayne and easily on Saturday in Fort Wayne. I really do believe that. So it's gonna be great. You have uh, a really deep, talented team. Let's talk about some of these guys. Sam Grieger, I think it's Grieger, right? Not
You're
Greg.
correct.
Sam
Yeah, yep,
Grieger. You've got a few names here, JT, that are difficult, but I think I got them. So Sam Grieger averages 16 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and he shoots 52% from the field. He's a 6'4" sophomore guard. Talk about Sam if you would.
Yeah, Sam is it's Sam's story. It's wild, right? Because Sam, when I got here, Sam was just like he was it was his second year in school, but he wasn't playing. He wasn't on the team the first year. And then he was trying out, and you could tell he was real nervous, like just throughout tryouts, like very nervous. Couldn't make a shot, couldn't dribble the ball, and he was a quiet kid. So like it came down to like this is no lie. One of the last guys that we were like, man, and I was just like, dude, this kid's 6'4", he's a lefty. I was like, he's in the gym, like well, we gotta give him a shot. And I'm very glad we gave him a shot because 2 weeks
Sure.
later he was starting at point guard, and it hurt us last year because he broke his thumb about I think this halfway through our conference season, not even that, and that's kind of where we started to like go up and down a little bit. Um, this year he came back and we knew he was going to have a good year, and he started a little slower than he probably wanted, but he's just been so efficient and so good, and he lives in the gym like and he's a scorer, and he's kind of changed his mindset to do both. Like he holds the state record in Wisconsin in his division and in the state tournament for points. So like he can score the ball, but he does whatever he has to do for the team. So and there's times we want him to get a little more aggressive, and there's times where he knows that maybe he took a couple tough ones, but he's turned into a leader, and he's like we go as far as he goes
Yeah.
with our team, and we know that the guys know that, and he kind of runs the show.
Yeah, I love watching him play. Dustin DeRusso, 14 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists a game. He's a 6'3" junior guard. He's had a great season. Talk about Dustin if you would.
Yeah, same boat. Dustin, I mean, he's same thing. The biggest step with Dustin this year is his leadership. Like he holds guys accountable. He brings guys together. He knows how to kind of relate to everybody on the team. Everybody likes him, and he's the same way. Like I think his biggest step is he's his shooting, like he's been able to shoot it so much better this year than he did last year, and that goes by him being in the gym. And then he's guarding, like he was on the first team all defensive team this year. And last year, like we told him, we used to hide him around on guys to because we didn't think he guarded great. And now this year, I mean, he's first team all defense in the WIAC. And like I think, Sam and Dustin, and you know this at this level, when you get guys who by the time they're a sophomore or junior, they could easily play and be high level Division II players. And if you look,
Right.
I mean, Division I guys, look at our league, right? We lose Miles Barnstable and Brody Fox last year,
Yeah.
who are doing pretty well in Division I. And those are guys that they just put the work in. We're now like they're high level players, and it's been fun to watch them.
Yeah, he DeRusso is another guy that's versatile, fun to watch, talented. Your big guy, 6'7" junior forward, JJ Piter. Is it Piter? Am I saying that correct?
You got them all right.
Okay,
Yep.
there's a lot of tricky ones here. JJ
Yep.
Piter, great player, 13.7 rebounds, 3 assists, 54% from the field. Talk about your 6'7" junior.
Yeah, same with him. So it's funny. All three of those guys are actually roommates, so it's pretty good. But he's the one I was talking about. Where there's times where we got to go at halftime and remind guys, hey, let's make sure we throw the ball to JJ a little bit here. He's going up and down. He's doing everything we ask, and he's got 6 touches, 8 touches, and he just does. But that's who he is. Like he just wants to win. He doesn't care. He'll do whatever we ask him to do. He comes. He practices hard, and he's another guy. And to kind of go back to what you talked about at the beginning with installing or putting our culture in. Beginning of last year, like he was good. He got hurt, and then we butted heads. Like we had to get him. I thought he had to practice harder. I thought he could get more out of him. We didn't play him for a little bit. Like he was playing maybe 8 minutes a game, if that. And then he just kind of had something switch where he just figured it out and just kept grinding his way in and turned into an all-conference player last year and this year. And like now I mean, he sets the tone for what we do. Him, Dustin, Sam, some of our other guys, they set the tone for what we do every day. And like he's grown so much as a person off the court, and I think it's shown with what he does on the court. And I mean, it makes us as coaches very happy and our job easier when you have three really good players like that.
Another guy that's really important to your team, and this one comes off the bench, is Carter Thomas. So Carter
Yeah,
Thomas is a 6'1" junior guard, 12 points, 2 rebounds. And you talk about Carter if you would.
yeah, Carter, same one. I mean, I've coached Carter since when I was a head coach at Bryan Strand Junior College. Came back, he came over here this year. And sometimes the hardest thing, right, is when you got I think we brought back a decent amount of guys. We brought in 4 freshmen and Carter, 2 transfers. So 6 guys we brought in. I think we brought back like 11 guys. And trying to kind of fit and mix in with those guys who played together can be tough. And he did it, I think. I think it took him. He had ups and downs. He knows that. But the biggest thing with him is like when he's so consistent, he's really, really good. And guys know that. We know that. And that's kind of where we want to see him be all the time. And there's times where maybe he rides a roller coaster because he there's no bigger critic for his game than himself, and that's what really good competitors and athletes are, right? So he's taking every role. Like he didn't start at the beginning of the year. He started, and we didn't do anything wrong. Like we won a lot of games, but we just thought, hey, we want to get you back going more, scoring more points. I think if you come off the bench, it will help us. And he was like, man, whatever it takes, whatever the team's got to do, I'll do it. And he's had some of his best practices this week and the last 2 weeks. And you can see it too with him. Like the longer we play, which is awesome, the more comfortable these guys are getting still together and learning how to play with each other. And he's when he's good, we're really good too. It's kind of funny, right? When your good players are good, we're usually really good.
Yeah, and like in the St. Norbert game, he played starter minutes. So some of these, it's kind
Yep.
of like Marco
Yep.
Anderson for us. Marco doesn't start, but to me, he's a starter.
Yep.
He's on the floor all the time.
Yep.
Two more guys to ask about. Will Furman, a 6 foot senior guard, 9 points, 4 rebounds a game. Another really good player for another starter for you. Talk about Will Furman.
Yeah, Will, I mean, for me, I got so much respect for Will because Will, he's a fifth year guy. Last year, he was, his traditional senior year. He stayed last year and then came back this year. Like, I didn't recruit him coming out of high school. He played for someone else. He liked what we were doing last year. He was one of our fifth years that chose to come back, and he does everything we ask him to do. Like, he's a traditional, like, what you want to see in a Division III student athlete, right? He's in class right now. He works. He comes to practice. Like he's doing all 3 things and at a high level. And he's just like so reliable. He's had games where he's been really, really good this year, and he's had games where he'll tell you like he didn't play as up to what he thought he could. But we always know we're gonna get the same thing out of him. Like he's not gonna if he doesn't make shots, it's not gonna change how he guards. It's not gonna change how he leads or rebounds. You can put him on the court, and there's always a chance that he's going to do something really, really good. And I thought St. Norbert's game, I thought was one of his better games this year. Like he kind of got his groove back, and he we like to see that because I think he's really, really good. But he's just another guy who's just like the epitome of what it means to be an Eagle, right? Like guy, everybody respects him on campus. Every player on the team respects him. Everybody wants to see him do good, and he's just going to do whatever he has to do for the team.
And then one final guy, final starter to ask you about is Torin Hanna, 6'3" senior guard, 4 points, 3 rebounds a game, wears number 32. Talk about Torin Hanna, if you would.
Yeah, Torrance the same way as Will, right? Torrance a guy. I like to say Torrance kind of bleeds, the maroon and gray. Like his mom went to high school in La Crosse. His uncle still lives in La Crosse, so his family's from La Crosse. So kind of growing, and he's from the Madison area, but growing up, La Crosse was always La Crosse Eagles was like their team, and he's what it means to be an Eagle. Like he does everything we ask him to do since day one. He fights through injuries. Last year, he was another guy who got hurt his ankle a little bit, so his year wasn't what he wanted to be. He came back this year. I mean, he's in the gym. He's in the gym after practice. He's leading guys. He's in film sessions, asking about different things. Hey, should we try to do this? Should we do this? And he comes in and like this year, he didn't start. He never got opportunity to start. He started now he started since the tournament happened. He's starting, but it hasn't changed who he is. And like that's
Sure.
kind of why we put him in that spot because we just thought for what we need to do to switch some things up that he was going to be a perfect person for it. And his thing was like, it was almost when I told him, he was like, well, I don't know, like, his selflessness almost didn't want to take somebody's spot, but like we told him, like, hey, you're not taking a spot. Like we just want to make sure that this is the best we can make it going forward. And he's doing whatever we ask him to do. And sometimes that means he doesn't get the score as much as he wants, but he doesn't care. He's doing whatever we ask him to do to win. And it's it's those 7 guys plus our other 9 guys that really make us who we are. We got, obviously those are kind of our top guys, but we got 9 other guys who I think, and you know this from being around really good teams at this level, there's freshmen on this team who I think they hit a little wall sometimes because they weren't playing minutes. and they see other freshmen who maybe they went to school with or
Right.
been in the same class playing minutes, but those teams they're playing on aren't that great, right?
Right.
And like we tell them, like, hey, you're going to be a freshman on a team that right now is in the Sweet 16. You probably won't play any minutes, but if you keep developing the way we want you to develop, this is your team in 2 years, and it's the same spot these freshmen are going to come in. And when they're in that same spot you feel right now, you're gonna be able to tell them the exact same thing and say, hey, there's a reason we're here where we are now. It's because we went through all this as freshmen. So we got a lot of guys who are just they're letting their ego go and doing whatever it takes for the team.
And I've mentioned this on a couple other QCasts, but one of my favorite things to think about is 3 years ago this weekend, Illinois Wesleyan played Wabash in the Elite Eight game. None of the six seniors on this Illinois Wesleyan team, none of them got off the bench. None of them took their warm-ups off. So Nick Roper, Harrison Williamson, Hakeem Williams, Trey Bazell, that whole group, Marco Anderson, Shane Miller, none of them got on the floor as freshmen. You and I know that they were all good enough to get on the floor somewhere else, but they came to Illinois Wesleyan, they grinded their way through it, and now they're kind of the guys leading things in a Sweet 16. And I think, Coach, that's kind of one of the cool things, right? If you can get kids in your program that are willing to come in and compete and not just want to be handed something, that's when you know you have a really good program. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's kind of in the recruiting process that goes back to the transparency that we're going to have with guys. Like every coach says, like, I don't tell guys, oh, they're going to play. Well, we'll tell guys, like, if there's a guy that, if there's a transfer, there's a kid that we know, hey, you're going to come in here and play. Like, we're going to tell you you're going to come in and play. But we'll also tell you on the other end, if, hey, you're not, we don't see any minutes for you this year, but in 2 years, this guy is graduating. If you do what we think that you can do, you're going to play and you're going to win when you get there and stuff like that. So I 100% agree with you. And we want those guys because to me, if you can bring in a player who can go through some failure with you as a program, they're going to stay. They're going to stay, especially if they knew you
Yeah.
told them, hey, this failure might happen. These things might happen. Versus if I tell a kid something and now when he gets here, it's the complete opposite of what I told him.
Right.
Now when things don't go the way he wants them to go, he's going to leave because he's like, that's not what I expected it to be like. That's not what I was told it's going to be like. So we tell our guys, we tell every freshman we recruit exactly how it's going to be. Here's where we think you're at. This is the situation. And then usually that way, guys can get through some things because
Yeah.
it's not different. You know what I mean? It's not you're not lying to guys. And I think that goes back to the transparency that we try to talk about. And that means you're gonna get guys who really, really want to be here. And that means you might lose out on some guys who maybe are a little more, talented or highly touted, but they wouldn't be coming here for the right things. And you can't do the things you want to do if that's the case. So it shows, right? When you watch Illinois Wesleyan, it shows when you have those guys because they went through all that struggle for,
Right.
that year together, 2 years together, and now it shows when they play how well they play together because they've been through the good and the bad with each other.
Just one more thing to ask you, which is the other side of the bracket. It's two other great teams in here, and it's funny, people keep asking me this week, like, oh my God, because Illinois Wesleyan and WashU have this kind of healthy rivalry thing. And oh my God, what do you think about having to, potentially play WashU if you beat Lacrosse? And I'm like, I haven't even had time to look at these other two games because as a fan, I got to play Lacrosse. I mean, I haven't even thought about WashU and Wisconsin Lutheran, but JT, that is a fantastic pairing of games. WashU, one of the best programs in Division III. Wisconsin Lutheran, they brought back their whole team. I can't remember if it's 5 or 6 fifth-year guys. They're incredible. They went to Platteville. They went to Platteville and won. So I know you haven't had a chance either to worry about those two, but just talk a little bit about the other side of the bracket here and how good that matchup is.
Yeah, I think you won. You're 100% right. Like if it's kind of the same way our whole season went, right? Like we play a game, and if I try to look ahead, I'm already going to be worried about that one because it doesn't matter. So I've been so locked in on Illinois Wesleyan. I got to see WashU play because Illinois Wesleyan played them, so I at least got to see that cross matchup when I was watching some film. And then Wisconsin Lutheran, I got to see because they played St. Norbert, so I was able to
Yeah.
watch that game. And we played Wisconsin Lutheran last year, and like they're really good. WashU is really good, and that's kind of something I tell our guys. Like we got to understand where we're at. Like, and we like this. We like having, I would say underdog mentality or a chip on our shoulder. But as a coach too, right? Like we're going against Coach Rose, Hall of Fame coach, uh, Coach Yuckham, probably a Hall of Fame coach, and then Coach Onenson, who's the career, I think the leading win percentage at Wisconsin Lutheran, and then you got me, who's been here for 2 years, and I think we won like maybe 38 games. So like it's it's there's brackets, and I'm not at that bracket, right? So it's fun. Like it's that's the way we want it to be. We're trying to put UW Lacrosse, right? When you hear WashU's, when you hear Illinois Wesleyans, Wisconsin Lutherans, you hear kind of what we say is like the blue bloods of this level, with especially WashU and Illinois Wesleyan and how much they've won over the years. And our goal is we want to get lacrosse to that level. And I think there's no better chance to do it than when you got three of them coming in.
Right.
And yeah, it's going to be like, as a fan, if I was just a fan, like I have know a lot of people that are coming to these games, like now they're coming, right? They come to the game when you play at home and Sweet 16 and they're fired up. And I was telling them as a fan, like I would be there at 4 o'clock and make sure I'm there about at 3 o'clock, get a good seat because you're gonna have a really good game at four.
Right.
And when it ends, go grab some popcorn and get right back because it's gonna be another good one. And it's like we're excited because it's gonna be a packed gym. It's gonna you guys travel well. WashU is gonna travel well. Wisconsin Luther is gonna travel well. And it's just gonna be like I think a really really good week in the basketball for
Uh,
four
uh,
teams that
it
could all
will be.
play in Fort Wayne.
I was up in Chicago last weekend watching the Titans playing. Just reminded how good this level is. Sitting there watching like St. John's Chicago game, which was ridiculous, and watching Illinois Wesleyan and St. John's. It's just high level basketball. It's just high level. It's physical. The guys are skilled, and I don't know, when I watch Division I basketball this time of year, this is the time of year that I start to.
Yep.
I just I hate to say, people get mad at me, but I don't think it's as good. I think the basketball, if you like basketball, I
Yep.
believe the basketball is better at this level. So I'm just that's my hot take that I'm going to leave out there. What else is, I wish I could be up there. I've known all year that I have a work thing this weekend. It's not a bad work thing. I got to fly to the Players Championship in Ponte Vedra, Florida for a
Yeah.
work
Yeah.
thing and host some clients. So this isn't a feel sorry for Bob kind of thing, coach, but I do wish my heart will be in La Crosse, Wisconsin. It'll be in Bloomington, Illinois as well with the women because they're hosting too. I wish I could be there. I will be watching from a hotel, very nervous from a hotel in Amelia Island. JT, what would you leave everyone with on the QCast? They certainly, Eagles Nation is tuning in. D3 Nation's tuning into this. Probably the Snyders, maybe a Ryan Whitnable from a GLI perspective. You got a lot of eyes and ears on this QCast, Coach. What would you leave us with today?
First off, just appreciate all you guys do. I think the way you guys kind of put Division III basketball on the forefront, it's great for our guys. It puts a lot of tension on them, so we appreciate it. I know sometimes as coaches we use it right. We use some stuff for fuel. We use
Sure.
stuff for different things, so it's good that way too. But I think just this weekend for us as lacrosse, like we're fired up. We're excited for everybody who's coming to lacrosse, gets to kind of experience our city. Our campus, I think it's one of the best ones in the country, if not the best. So we're excited for that. I think it's gonna be a great weekend of basketball. I know Illinois Wesleyan's gonna be ready to go. Our guys gonna be ready to go. So it's gonna be fun, and I'm just looking for a good weekend of basketball.
Folks, it's the Sweet 16, and lacrosse is hosting. You've got the early game is WashU versus Wisconsin Lutheran. The late game, of course, is Wisconsin Lacrosse hosting Illinois Wesleyan. Not much more needs to be said. It's going to be a blast. JT Gritzmacher now becomes a member of the two-timer club in the QCast. Hey, that's a pretty, when you get the call twice, coach, that starts to be
Yeah,
a pretty serious deal, right? You're in the
no,
class with
yeah,
like the Yuckums of the world and these guys, right?
yeah, no, yeah. I'm trying. Hopefully, we can do something that gets me a third time. So, and then get into another club, but I'll take it.
Well, I think I feel like the trend is pretty good. I think it's a pretty safe bet that there's going to be a third here, coach. So, um, I'd love to wish you, usually I say like good luck. I don't know what the right thing to say to you is, because you know that I'm not really wishing you. I hope it's a great game. I hope everyone is safe. I hope everyone's healthy. I hope it's a 1 point game. And that's what I can say, coach. I hope it's an awesome game. How about that?
I think you'll get that wish. It should be a good one.
Folks, that's JT Gritzmacher of Wisconsin Lacrosse. He is building something special there, and he's done it in a very short amount of time. JT, thanks, man, and best of luck, man.
Yep, sounds good. I appreciate it.